very good morning to you yet again, and like we promised, we were to have a conversation with one Mr. Joseph Nyongesa in regards to the Kenya Packaging Summit, whose theme is sustainable packaging for exports and brands in the East African region. And of course, like you know, and like I told you earlier in this particular show, is that they'll be holding the first summit on the 13th of March 2023, that is on Monday. And just to give you a preview, the Institute of Packaging Professionals Kenya, a focal human packaging skills development center of Kenya and East African, has put together the Kenya's first packaging summit to be held on the 13th of March 2023. Now, the event will be held annually, will review the progress in local and international packaging trends, as well as launch the Ken Starpack Packaging Award, recognizing, of course, the best industry structural and graphic packaging designs. And of course, this year we'll also see the launch of Student Ken Starpack Packaging Award that will see excelling students in the segment get the recognition they deserve. And of course, joining us this morning to talk more about that and those awards is Mr. Joseph Nyongesa, the CEO of Institute of Professional and Packaging Kenya. Very good morning to you, sir.
Thank you. Well, thank you. Nice having me here.
Thank you very much for coming this morning.
Yeah.
We really do appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Now, just to kickstart and give the viewer a preview of what this Kenya Packaging Summit is all about, because this is the first
It is
summit.
the first, yeah.
How did you guys arrive at this particular summit?
Well, as an institute, first of all, the Institute of Packaging is a members organization of packaging users, packaging converters, packaging professionals, and anybody who is interested in packaging. So we arrived at this because for a long time, packaging has not received the attention and the focus it deserves. You see, when we go to the supermarkets, we see packaging all over the place, not only the supermarkets, but even in the small shops, in the kiosks, in the retailers, and even in the value chain. So this is a tool that is taken for granted, but it plays a crucial role. So we are raising the consciousness of what packaging is and what it does in society by expanding economic opportunities. Just think of the opportunities it creates in the retail sector, the kind of people that are employed directly and indirectly, the role it plays in the supply chain, by containing products from the point of production to the point of use. You know, packaging is something we come across every time. I'm sure this morning you have also touched packaging. Maybe when you woke up, you brushed your tooth with some tube. That is packaging. You had some soap. You had some breakfast that was some milk that is packed and contained. So, unlike other countries, we want to raise the awareness, the consciousness, the importance of packaging in our endeavors to industrialize, in our endeavors to create opportunities, and in our endeavors to protect protect and preserve our products. And so we came up with this so that at least once in a year, as a country and as a region, we can stop and reflect about this thing that we take for granted. So that is basically why we came up with this. And this is a little critical at this point in time, because there is a lot of talk about sustainability. We want to build sustainable societies. And well, there are many things about sustainability, but for us, we are trying to focus on the packaging aspects. So you'll be seeing us every year. I'm sure we shall be coming here for an interview every year.
Definitely, you're most welcome.
Yeah.
Now, you've also spoken on the objectives of this particular summit. And interestingly, because here we know that you'll also be launching the Ken Starpack Packaging Awards that will give recognition to those who are doing the excelling students in that particular industry. For the youth, someone like me, I'm quite young, the importance of being recognized in what you do. Maybe would you expound more on that particular award?
Okay.
that you'll be launching?
Basically, there are several awards that happen around the world. There is, at the global level, there is the World Star, where the top packaging designers and the professionals who come up with the innovations are recognized. It is like the global Olympic of packaging, if I may use that word, where you are recognized internationally. Even in your journalistic systems, I think you have awards. I always see some awards for the TV top presenters and all that. This is an industry where you see packaging, you touch packaging every day. So we have at the global level the World Star, then we have the world level Students Star. Then at the continental level, we have what's called the AfriStar, where we showcase packaging excellence in Africa. And therefore, we are just bringing it down to the country so that we can have, we can celebrate packaging excellence in this country. There's a lot of packaging innovations that happen in this country and they go worldwide. I'm sure when you go to the supermarkets, the packaging that confronts you and shouts at you, and some industries say roars at you, you see some packaging that, you know, catches your eye, packaging that is fit for purpose, packaging that is easy to handle in the supply chain or in the value chain, and packaging that is sustainable. So we are going to start a movement where students, and we have a lot of students who do packaging design in this country, like Technical University. We have students at the University of Nairobi and other universities where there is design. When you see that packaging that comes out, there's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes. People have have had sleepless nights. We have had sleepless nights to see a pack coming on the shelf. As a consumer, you just see it on the shelf. But there is a lot of work, design work, structure, graphic work that goes into it. People have had, they have spent a lot of time trying to come up with it. So when students who have done this, they need to be recognized, just as we recognize our top athletes, our top TV journalists, our top cameramen. So we can recognize them. And that recognition will be able to help them advance their careers in this sector, in this industry, and not only in Kenya, but in Africa and around the world. So it is a very critical thing for students to internalize and impress. We also have a lot of graphic designers around in this country. I'm reminded of Scanad and others. So the people come up with all kinds of designs. So those designs should be recognized so that the guys can be rewarded, either career-wise or in many other ways. We can send them to global and continental recognitions. So it is very critical for young professionals to impress these kind of initiatives and come up with those packs.
Talking about, you know, recognizing those students who are excelling, yeah. You know how important and how motivating it is when you recognize when what you do is being recognized by someone you're awarded. Yeah. Maybe when you talk about packaging, what are, you know, just some of the key things that you have to consider in order to get your packaging right? Okay, one of the first things is that packaging has basically three roles. It must get on with the product. It must be fit for purpose. What I mean by fit for purpose, if you are doing a pack for milk, it should be able to contain that milk. It should be able to preserve it. It should be able to protect it from the point of production to the point of consumption. That is fit for purpose. It must work for that. And the packaging is different for different reasons. We have, if you are doing tea packs, for example, it has to make sure it preserves the flavor and the aroma, or coffee it preserves from the point of production to the point of consumption. That means fit for purpose. The next thing is it must be easy to handle in the value chain. It should not be very complicated.
Then it must also catch the consumer, the consumer's eye. It must stand out. So there is the consumer part of it. So the pack has to get along with the product, it has to get along with the consumer, and increasingly now it has to get along with society. There is this concern about packaging being left in the environment and becoming an issue. So we consider all those aspects, and we have teams of very highly qualified packaging professionals who do that. I, for example, participate in judging the World Star and the Student Star World at the global level and also at the African level. So we have people who have had a long journey and experience in the packaging arena who participate in the assessment of these packs. So it's quite a rigorous process.
You said you participated in those awards.
I still participate.
You still participate.
I'm part of the panel of judges.
I'm interested to know, are there local people who've won these awards, and how does it impact the packaging industry here in the country, and maybe what needs to be done to ensure that there's not only those students who are engaging in these packaging activities, but the country gets, because we talk about standard packaging. Mm-hmm. What do we need to do as a country to ensure that we get there? Okay, well, in the AfriStar Award, we have had some companies in this country who have participated and got some awards and medals. I think in Africa, at the continental level, I think this year we are going to, there's something that one of the companies around has won at the African level. So the things that we need to do is first and foremost, and that's what we do every day, is build competency in this field so that people know when you come up with a pack, what are we looking for? So we need to have upscaling the skills in the industry so that people are aware of what the market looks for. Of course, you start at the marketing end, then you come at the functionality. So the people who are involved in packaging development need to be equipped on what is required. The teachers who teach, the professors, they need to train the students of what the market is looking for, what the industry is looking for. So there is the element of skill development as a critical requirement, and that will help to make sure these people can get those awards. So that is basically one of the key requirements. Of course, there will be some investments in the packaging industry to upgrade, to make sure that the industry has what it takes to make these packs, because it also goes with some investment in the right and appropriate technology. And next week, we have the summit on Monday. Then we have the Packaging Expo at what we call ProPack East Africa. And I would like to thank them for supporting these kind of initiatives so that you can get experience on some of these packs. I'm sure you'll be there, you'll see a lot of packaging innovations. Maybe for someone out there who wants to attend not only the Packaging Summit, but as well the Expo.
Yeah.
What should they expect? And maybe, there could be someone who thinks, what is this Packaging Expo all about? What will I expect when I come there?
When you come to the ProPack Expo, first of all, you'll be amazed by the amount of technology that is there in terms of materials, in terms of equipment, in terms of processes, in terms of printing, in terms of plastic. It's one of the leading, actually it's the leading packaging expo in Africa. So you'll be exposed to this technology and see some of the technologies that can make you an entrepreneur, because there's a lot of opportunities, especially for SMEs. You can get some equipment or some technology which can help you to start a business. Let's say you want to start packing, say, popcorn or cashew nuts or honey or peanuts. There will be a lot of that kind of technology. And for those who are in the industry, of course, there will be a lot of new technology, new developments, new innovations. You will get a feel of where packaging is going around the world, especially in the area of sustainability. Because now you have to, any brand manager has to worry, has to get concerned that his packaging or their packaging is actually sustainable, is going places. And if you are an exporter, you need to be there because the world is now shaping up to sustainable packaging. And we have a lot of stuff on sustainable packaging. In this country, we export a lot to EU, and the EU and other markets are putting measures in place whereby you'll not be able to enter their markets unless you have sustainability, sustainable packaging. So we have had the challenges in the past. Some developments have come up, then we don't prepare and respond in good time. Then lo and behold, we are shut out of those markets, and we start crying and complaining that this is a trade barrier or anything. But they are just trying to make sure that their countries receive packaging that will not be a problem in their country. You know, even in this country, we have had the challenges of plastics all over the place. So we are also, as a country, we want to make sure we do packaging that will not be stranded. We have initiatives where we can minimize the packaging waste in the environment. So there will be systems, accessories, ideas, technologies, which can help you to be able to address the packaging issues. But also most important is to appreciate what it takes to get your product to your shelf or to your house. If we didn't have packaging, it would be necessary for us to keep cows in the city here so that we can milk cows. Everybody would have to keep a cow. Can you imagine what mess it will be? But thanks due to packaging, milk can be made in Eldoret there, and it can find its way to your place. You don't have to keep a cow here in the city. So, and it would not make sense to do that, plus many other applications. So for the visitor, there is that appreciation. There's looking for opportunities. We want to, as a country, you know, we want to industrialize. And that is how when we shall create jobs. And packaging is at the tail end of industrialization. The proof that you have industrialized is that you have packed. And people to appreciate that packaging adds value. And I think in the institute we say it multiplies value. Because look at roti. Maybe you buy roti at $3 a kilo, but when it is finished and packaged, you'll find it maybe it is selling $20. And so packaging actually multiplies value. And you see, we have been talking about value addition for too long. Even when you are in school, after you do adding, you have to move to multiplication. You cannot be adding forever.
You have to multiply.
So we need now, where we are, the challenges of needing to industrialize, the challenges of creating more opportunities for the youth especially, the challenges of food waste and loss, are urgent. So we need to impress packaging to minimize this, to address these issues. And I think one of the problems or the issues we have had is packaging has not been taken seriously in this country and in Africa in general.
Talking about packaging not being taken seriously, I'd want to know, as one of the stakeholders in the packaging industry, what are just some of the challenges that you encounter? In terms of packaging, and then even as it talks about sustainable packaging, does it, from the way I've understood it, does it mean as well less use of natural resources?
Yeah, well, I think the challenges of, there has not been a good regulatory framework, but it is coming. Excuse me. And we have been engaging government, and the government will be there. There has been some support in different frameworks, but still the investments have not gone in the way they should. Although people have been, the industry has been evolving on its own by entrepreneurs just starting their plastics sector or glass sector or paper sector. They have been going on at their own initiative, but the regulatory framework has been developing to catch up. But one of the biggest challenges is lack of skills and capability in the country or in the continent, and lack of appreciation. But now it is coming up, and we are starting to see some good progress. Yeah.
Now, talking about sustainability and sustainable development goals, where does packaging fit in?
Well, packaging is very critical in sustainability on the overall. Because if you look at SDG, we talk of SDG by 2030, we should have a sustainable society. But packaging plays a critical role first in consumption and production by making sure that we use minimal resources, because that is what sustainability is all about. We recycle more, we recover more. Now, on the overall SDG, one of the goals is responsible consumption and production. I think that is one of those numbers, I don't know, number 12. So in that area, when it comes to packaging like plastics, we are trying to use less. If a plastic bottle was weighing 30 grams, there's been a lot of efforts to reduce it to 20 grams or 15 grams, and it will do the same job, okay? When it comes to glass, glass has been going down, being lightweighted. When it comes to laminates or papers, they have all been being reduced in terms of grammage. So that is part of sustainability. And we have a lot of programs of recycling. We have programs like Plastic Pact, which will be there. So we have been having a lot of recycling and recovery. Now, on the, excuse me, on the other sustainable goals of, let's say, reduce hunger, eliminate hunger, packaging does a lot of food, it prevents food wastage and loss.
Maybe before we talk about, the issue of hunger and reducing all that, we'd go on a short commercial break before we come back.
Okay.
But you've talked about the importance and why the viewer needs to come to that particular expo. There you go. There's technology. You need to be there to get to understand what involves or what goes around in the packaging industry, and of course talking about sustainable development goals. Don't go away, because we'll be coming back with Mr. Nyongesa just to give you more views. What are the standards of packaging in the country, and where do we sit in terms of comparing the standards of packaging in this country, and of course with our international peers. Don't go away. We'll be back in a moment.
Shule ilikuwa ni noma. Yeah, getting something to eat bado, especially in my last 2 years, ilikuwa ngumu sana. And Nation Media Group, the Energy Radio, nimeenda Ghetto Radio. Yeah, hizo zote. The response was some waliniambia nitume emails. I'd like to see many things change, like the fact that unaweza enda shop uchukue ile kitu yenye unadai, si lazima uangalie kwanza pesa zenye uko nazo kwa mfuko, unaona. Education actually, aishi pale after umemaliza, after you get your degree and stuff, it goes on and on.
Sana kwamba wanariadha wote wa Kenya na wale wa ng'ambo wamekuja na wamewakilisha kwa mbio za nyika na inaendelea mzuri sana. In fact, we are really happy about what has happened. We have our sponsors, Lotto is with us, and they have really supported us. And this is the cross country that we have always wanted to have as an international one. We are really excited.
The Gold Cross Country is a culmination. We have we have been supporting the cross country for 7 years. So this is good that we move from the national to an international level, and it's good to see the turnout. It's good to see how the event has been organized, and we're hoping we get many more that we can partner with Athletics Kenya, the government, so that we grow athletics from a grassroots to a national level and now internationally.
Every time you play Lotto, 25% goes to the Lotto Foundation, which supports our fellow Kenyans through various causes. Thank you for your help. Together, we are changing lives.
Je, ni nani yupo kwenye kosa, ambapo ni dereva ama ni mpita njia?
Ni ngumu sana kueleza kama ni driver. Unatukia driver mwenyewe ana overspeed.
Uzuri wake ama ubaya wake hasa husababishwa na wananchi wenyewe.
Ukiambiwa be careful, watu haoni kama ni jambo la maana.
Jambo la maana ni kwamba tuhakikishe kwamba tunafuata sheria.
Kabisa.
Don't be among the numbers.
They say that art is the journey of a free soul.
When his fingers meet the canvas, there is an explosion of art.
Make sure it does not spread.
Through life experiences, nature's inspiration, and a reflection of what happens in society, Alex Kamanjiri, not your ordinary artist, uses beads to create beautiful pieces. His aspiration to one day own the world's biggest gallery. But the journey is not without challenges.
Doing art is, I can say it's a risk to some extent, because you never know. You never know if you're going to earn from it or not.
Beaded art, this Sunday at 9 p.m. only on Lookuptv.
Thank you very much for staying with us. Remember, we are talking to Mr. Joseph Nyongesa. And just before we took the break, I wanted to know, where does Kenya stand in terms of packaging? And maybe if we compare our standards of packaging here in the country with other countries internationally, because you also said you do go for the awards. Where do we stand and what needs to be done?
Okay, I think Kenya has a very strong packaging industry foundation. We have good plastic conversion processes in both rigid and flexibles. We have one major glass player. Well, there are two basically. Paper industry, we have several converters. So when we look at the industry, the raw material base, like plastics, is mainly imported. That is the import base. But we have good conversion capabilities, which can do a lot of plastics that you could find around the world. Paper industry, of course, we don't have a strong paper mill as it were in Kenya, but we have one in the region in Tanzania. So most of the paper is imported. Glass, we have two glass makers, console glass, and what we call mill glass. We also have some metal players, at least two or so. And so that's the structure. The industry is not very advanced and also not very backward. It is somewhere raring to go. So it requires a little bit more investment in some areas and strengthening some areas. So as far as standards are concerned, I think we are still playing catch-up, and we are moving towards world standards. As we get these STARS competitions going, we shall be able to upgrade our standards. What is also critical is the need for packaging skills development. I think that is one of the issues that is not very strong, because without skills, it is very hard to bring the packaging to the right standards. Of course, in other countries, the packaging education is deep in the industry. It is going on all the time, so there is a lot of educational capability going on in other countries. Some by institutes like us, and also the formal education systems. We have had some discussions in government to see if we can start packaging curriculums in most institutions so that the packaging culture is deepened, so that there is that culture of packaging excellence from the word go, from designers, both structural and graphical. So we need to upgrade the standards. They are not where they should be. We have made some progress. We are not where we started, but we have not reached where we want to go. You see, our dream is to become globally competitive. That means our packaging, like of tea, should stand out anywhere in the world. We don't have to export raw materials. We need to brand and develop our packaging so that when you are around the world, you can see that this is Kenyan tea, this is Kenyan coffee, this is Kenyan French beans. Well, I always wonder why they are called French beans. They should be Kenyan beans. That's a story for another day. So we need our brands to stand out in the global market. We have Kenya Bureau of Standards. We make standards, I sit there. And we try to make sure that our standards are as good as any other standards around the world. We comply with ISO and so forth. So we are on the move, but we need to do a little bit more to accelerate the move.
Maybe as you talk about the industry is raring to go, and us being on the move. Maybe what are some of your goals? Because for other countries, maybe a country like the United States is well ahead, far much ahead. Yeah. For them, some of their goals, that is, they are intending that by 2025 they'll be using 100% plastic that are reusable. Yeah. So what are your goals, long-term goals, be it 2025, 2030?
Yeah, we also have goals, and I think they will be shared. We have an organization called Plastic Pact Kenya. In conversation with us and other people, we have some targets for 2025, 2030, 2050, and so forth. One of the goals is, of course, single-use plastics. We want to remove it, and then the necessary plastics that we need at least can be reused, can be recycled, can be recovered. So there are certain specific targets for 2025, 2030. As you have rightly mentioned, in those countries, they have pronounced themselves and are very clear that you must incorporate recycled content in your packaging. So these are the standards. We have started making standards to that end. Like at the moment, we are working on a standard for this, what we call PET or polyethylene terephthalate, the common bottles of soda and water. So we are developing a standard so that we can use some of that recycled material in the bottle. So you'll soon see that the water bottles, the soda bottles have a certain content of recycled content. Long term, we would like to see bottle to bottle, where your soda bottle, water bottle is recycled. In fact, we are moving to what is called circular economy, where there is no waste. You have things going round and round. So there is the target of incorporating like 20% in 2025, maybe 30%, 40% as we continue. So we are going to reach a point where we are using as more recycled material as possible. Of course, that is plastic. I'm talking more about plastic because that's where the major issues are. Most companies around the world, like Coca-Cola, Nestle, Unilever, and others, they have pronounced themselves that by 2025, we should have a certain percentage of recycled. By 2030, a certain percentage. 2050, a certain percentage. And eventually, reuse everything. Recycle everything. So there are those technologies that are developing. That's plastic. But paper, there is a lot of recycling and reusing, so it doesn't have a lot of challenges. But there are still some challenges. When you come to glass, glass is, as you know, it is recycled all the time, and when they break, they are easily recovered. Metal is the same. So the industry is alive to the fact that sustainability is here to stay, and that it will not be business as usual. If you want, you see, the objective of the summit is sustainable packaging for brands. You know, if you are a brand, you want to be there for a long term. You want to be there for many generations. Coca-Cola has been there for 130 years. So you want also to be there on the long term. So your packaging must evolve accordingly. So brand managers have to look for new technologies. And exporters are even in a more precarious situation, because if you are talking of the US, where they want a certain percentage of recycled, and you are not preparing for it, so that means you are not going to enter those markets. And that's why this summit is so critical.
Talking about the summit, let me get back to the summit. What are just some of the key areas that will be covered during this particular summit?
Well, one of the key areas, of course, is sustainability, design for sustainability. When you are starting a pack, when you are starting to design a pack, you design with the end in mind. After the pack has done its job of containing, preserving, protecting the product, where does it end? So we have a session on designing of sustainable packaging. So that is one of the key areas. Then there will be issues of how to recycle, reuse, reprocess, and recover. There will be marketing issues of branding, which will be discussed. The choice of materials, the process of packaging development. We shall have some guys from WPO talking about this AfriStar, World Star, AfriStar. Incidentally, we have the Vice President of World Packaging Organization.
Exactly, where I was headed. Who are some of the keynote speakers who will be attending?
We have the Vice President of World Packaging Organization is coming. We have the President of World Packaging Organization who will be online. We have the President of African Packaging Organization who will be looking at the continental level. The president of WPO will be looking at the global level, because now we are part of the global system, whether we like it or not. We want to be globally competitive. Then we have IOPPK. They will be there to talk about the challenges of fresh produce exporters. Of course, us, we shall also be there to highlight our role as facilitating and developing packaging skills so that we can become globally competitive. That is IOPPK. We have guys from the European Union, from Europe, from Finland, from Vienna, and they will be talking about the dynamics in the EU, what is happening. And you know, EU is the leading market for Kenyan exports. Almost all of our exports go to EU. Maybe we export like fresh produce almost $2 billion. And there are certain requirements there that by 2025, the packaging must be this. By 2030, the packaging must be this. So if we woke up one day and we are not ready, we don't want to wake up and get ourselves off guard and start firefighting. So this is just starting to raise the consciousness that, guys, these things is happening. Let's do it now than later. So we have guys from EU. We have guys from UNIDO. UNIDO is committed to industrializing Africa. As part of the agenda is let's feed Africa, industrialize Africa, create opportunities. So now as they try to support Africa in terms of industrialization, they wanted to do it sustainably. They don't want to do it unsustainably, so that tomorrow they want to invest or to come up with programs that are long-term. So we shall have a speaker from Israel on packaging and marketing, you know, how the designs are happening around the world, so that we can also use them here. I think those are the main speakers that are coming. There will be some government people also talking about the regulatory frameworks from Ministry of Environment, Industry, Ministry of ESC, because we have participants from ESC. So this program, like sustainable packaging, the way it has been formulated, it will become a regional program. So that's why like UNIDO is involved and ESC is involved, because we want to work it out, sustainability as a region. So that is why there will be some representation from the East African in the countries.
We talked about you know, the European Union being, you know, the leading export market for us as a country. Maybe even as you wrap up this particular conversation, what is unique about you know, the export markets that require local, you know, local industries to be really keen on matters matters packaging?
What is really keen, like those markets, there are a couple of things that are happening in the EU market, for example. First, they want to minimize packaging waste on their shores. As much as packaging plays a critical role, but they want to make sure it doesn't affect the environments. So that means they want as minimal packaging as possible, but that does the job. So they want packaging waste minimization, so they have targets also, like you have mentioned. Of course, they want safe packaging. That is not compromisable. The packaging must not affect the food. The food must not affect, so it must be safe. They are also keen on ensuring that the packaging you put in their market can be recycled, and they want recycled content. And that is now becoming like a directive, like it is not an option. They have come up with regulations, with standards, with directives that we have to comply with. And Kenya is also developing those frameworks. NEMA has come up with some frameworks. The Ministry of Environment has come up with some frameworks. So we are starting charity at home. They say charity starts at home. So there are programs of extended producer responsibility organizations, where we start a culture of making our packaging sustainable. We start a culture of making our packaging circular, so it doesn't become waste. It doesn't get stranded in the environment. So you have seen that plastic bottles are all over the place, PET, and some plastic bags have reduced, but they're all over the place. So basically, it is a new world, a new EU that has woken up to making sure packaging waste is minimized or eliminated. So we have to rethink the packaging issue. Otherwise, we shall use our key export markets, and we need them very seriously, especially in this time and in our evolution.
Well, thank you so much. In just a minute or so, maybe as we end this conversation, what would be your rallying call as one of the organizers of this particular summit? Maybe what would be your message to some of the, or rather the stakeholders in the packaging industry, maybe the government? You've talked about, maybe we should introduce, maybe it's time we introduce packaging in schools so that we can be able to establish and enable students to do more.
Okay, so, well, we need to take action about this packaging agenda in the country. For the government, as we move to address the socio-economic issues that face this country, we need to industrialize. That is for sure, because industrialization creates jobs and opportunities. We need to start programs at the village level, one village, one industry. That will create a lot of opportunities. We need to start industries either in every location or every constituency. And to start that, packaging is very critical. Hence, we need to build this in our policies of industrialization, regulations and frameworks, so that it is recognized upfront. A lot of times, as we have said for many generations, that we have good products, but they are not well packaged. Hence, we have massive losses. So when we look at our issue of foods, we incur a lot of food wastage because of lack of packaging. Foods are lost on the streets, on the markets, because of lack of proper packaging. And yet we have serious challenges of famine in the country. So packaging should be incorporated in all the regulatory frameworks so that the country is well equipped. Of course, it is also necessary for us to formulate frameworks for us to enter the export markets. So that is also a critical area. For the industry, I think the industry has put in quite some good investments and will continue to do that. What is critical is also to continue building skills so that the packaging that we are making here can be quite international. We encourage the industries to patronize some of the training programs at the Institute of Packaging Professionals. We have programs like packaging development, which will show you step by step so that you can develop your packaging properly. We have fundamentals of packaging for marketing people, for factory, supply chain, so that people have a good appreciation. We have a course on packaging machinery, which is also very critical for industry. And we just encourage the industry and the government to work together and, create an enabling environment for the industry to play its mandate and its role, because it is necessary to manufacture and industrialize and create jobs that we badly need. So those are my calls. We call on the people to attend the seminar and the summit so that they can appreciate what is happening in that space. And you can also find an opportunity for yourself as an entrepreneur. You can start packaging some things in your kitchen, whether they are cakes, or you start packaging groundnuts or popcorns or sim-sim. So there are a lot of opportunities that you can come up with.
Thank you so much for coming today here on Lookuptv. And Mr. Nyongesa is talking about you should be there. And in case you're wondering where it will be at Swahili Center. In case you're out of the capital here in Nairobi, just so you know, we at Lookuptv got you covered. We'll be there. We'll give you all the details in regards to this particular summit. Remember, it is the Kenya Packaging Summit, and the theme is Sustainable Packaging for Exports and Brands in the East African region. And we've been speaking to Mr. Joseph Nyongesa, the CEO of the Institute of Packaging Professionals in Kenya. Thank you very much for joining us today, this particular morning, the 10th of March, 2023. Like I've said, the summit will be on Monday, 13th of March 2023, right at the Swahili Center. Thank you very much. Do stay with us because we do have programs coming your way. Until Monday, see you again, and God bless.
Thank you for having me.